What's up, y'all? This is MGTV Reactions, and tonight we're going to be doing a reaction on Wine Glass, okay? So I got on YouTube and I seen that Wine Glass uploaded a few videos, all right? So first of all, I just want to say I'm going to do another video probably tomorrow and give my review on Wine Glass's t-shirts that she's about to sell to y'all, all right? But tonight I wanted to do a reaction on this video she just put up. And it says, I failed RJ. Super busy day in the life of a mom of four. All right, so basically, you guys, in this video, she's going to be talking about her reasons behind why she sent her son to a mental institution at the age of 7 for a week. All right, so I don't even want to talk too much. All right, now we're just going to hop right into this. I just might watch this video all the way through because I want to see what this is about. All right. So, but before we get started, I just want to ask you guys to please like the video, comment down below, because you know I want to hear what y'all got to say and what y'all thinking. All right. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right. Now let's get into it.
What is that? A behavioral health hospital? Is it called hospital? But where I'm at, it's called Rogers. Let me see what Rogers. I think Rogers is a mental institution. That's what it is. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, but I am gonna read these comments that I got, and I think it's a lot. It's very different. Like, I'm gonna explain to y'all in detail and read these comments and tell y'all what's going on. So this girl, I really think these are fake pages. Like, I block people and they make new pages, but it's no face, so it's a different person. You don't even it's nobody. Okay, it says ADHD is not a push under the rug in the Black community. Many kids and adults are diagnosed and take medicine. Others have taken the historic route in combination their symptoms and struggles.
Holistic route. All right, that's probably what the word says. Okay.
I'm not sure where you're getting your opinion from about the Black community, but you are heavily mistaken, and that's wrong. So she didn't comment again. She said, the doctor diagnosed RJ as having a processing disorder, or do you think he does? RJ presents as perfectly fine. Of course, I'm only going off what I see in the video. However, I don't see any developmental or cognitive or other delays in RJ. So let me say this. You don't know my son because you barely see him, because I don't even think he likes to be on camera just like his dad.
All right, guys.
You don't know my son. You don't know the struggles I went through when he was younger.
Let me just say this. Oh, it's not an ad. So let me just pause it.
Comment something like that and say that.
My opinion is this: when I do see Wine Glass's children on her videos and HD or anything, or like they're having anxiety, things like that, they don't appear to be like that. However, these are just like 10 and 15-minute videos out of her day. But from what I do see, it doesn't appear that they may be children who have issues. Now, listen, we clearly can see that Wine Glass is suffering from ADHD, depression, maybe anxiety too, whatever the case may be, just because we get to see her on camera more. All right. I do feel like she's one of those kind of mothers who want to diagnose their children, maybe because they have, maybe because she has a diagnosis herself. Maybe it's because it could potentially bring more income into the household if her children are receiving disability checks. I don't know. But yeah, her children appear to be perfectly normal children. So I don't really know. I don't really understand where she's coming from with all this. But you know what? At the end of the day, she does have a point. We only see the kids for about 10 to 15 minutes of the day when she does choose to post them on her channel. But let's continue.
The black community is not pushing this underneath the rug. Yes, they are. As we grew up, we are told not to take these medications because we're not supposed to be crazy. Why? Because in slaves,
Hold
we
on.
supposed to.
So before she even gets into the whole slavery thing, because she's been going that route lately, all right, I do not believe that the black community pushes these type of diagnoses underneath the rug. I agree with what the lady said in the comments. It's actually very normal and very common nowadays for black children to be diagnosed with ADHD. A lot of the times lately, it's been autism. Um, and who knows why that is the case, but I don't think that black people sweep mental illnesses or disorders underneath the rug. It's definitely, especially now, um, it's more common for those issues to be addressed. Um, so I agree with what the lady said. However, I don't think that parents should just I don't like the fact that Wineglass tries to make it seem like it's definitely something wrong with all of her children. I don't think that that's the case. I just don't. But let's hear what she has to say about slavery. Okay.
Supposed to act strong. We're not supposed to have no weakness, right? And we're carrying the slave mentality as of right now. So this is why I say this. Yes, in our black community, it is a struggle. My mom, Bay's mom, well, my mom, she's okay with it, but Bay's mom, my daddy, they don't believe in taking medicine. And this is everywhere. And it's just not my community. It's everywhere.
Now, listen, I'm about to give my opinion on this real quick. I think it's about to be an ad. I'll just go ahead and let that play and mute it. All right. I'm one of those people where I believe in taking medicine for every little thing either. Okay. And I'll tell you why, because it changes people, it changes kids. And I think that younger children, if you do notice that something is off with them, you should give them the opportunity to kind of catch up on their own, or maybe try the holistic route first. Well, let me pause it so I can finish my thought. Yeah, I would suggest, because listen, to be honest, my 10-year-old son, I was told he has ADHD. He has a therapist, and they recommended putting him on medication. However, I wanted to give my child the opportunity to learn how to cope with his ADHD, without being medicated. All right, because my son, he's not behind academically. He's definitely, on track and above. All right, so just because of the fact that my son is hyper, and sometimes he has a hard time staying on track, I'm not willing to just put him on medication so he can calm down, and it might make things a little bit easier, for me if he's medicated. I don't want to do that to my son. So I chose not to put him on medication, and he has been flourishing. From time to time he has his issues, but I'm one of those people, I don't believe in people using medication for everything. Now, listen, if you have a diagnosis like depression, and even anxiety, where, it's really affecting your daily life, all right, and you can't function, then you got to do what you have to do as an adult. But and maybe even as a child, if it's really that severe. But it wouldn't be my first thought to put my child on medicine, regardless of who's recommending it. I would at least give my child the opportunity to try to, find other routes before being medicated. That's just my opinion. All right. I went on rambling. Sorry about that, but let's get back into it. Okay. Let me unmute this.
Baby has ADHD, and her mom and my daddy, they did not want him to take medicine. It was like, oh, he's fine. But they give him medicine now because they know how he is. So let's go back in the day with RJ. When I had RJ, I was a young teen mom. I had my baby. I didn't know what came with it. RJ, when he was first born, he was gorgeous, handsome, everything.
Okay.
And so when I had him, he used to cry all the time. My baby used to be up all night, and I didn't know why he used to get up at night. I'm thinking like this is normal. I didn't have no sleep, so I'm going through my baby blues. I'm crying and stuff like that. So as RJ got older, he was still crying. RJ cried so much. Like when he went to Head Start for his first year, he cried all day. And the
But
reason
my
why
thing is this: isn't that normal when a kid's environment is changing and they're no longer able to stay at home with their mother all day, and be up under their moms? They may have an emotional reaction to the change because it's uncomfortable for them. I feel like that's normal. That's just what happens with children. But let's continue.
why he was crying was because of the transitions. So basically, when I put him on the bus, he will cry. He will cry the whole bus ride, and the bus ride could be 30 minutes, and he's crying the whole time. Then once he settled down, probably just a tad bit, he started crying when he gets off the bus. So his teacher, I remember her name was Miss Linda. She told me that he cried so much. I thought my baby was doing good because I never got no phone calls. She told me that every transition he used to cry. She said, I don't know if it's because he's still tired. I didn't know either, but he used to cry all the time at home too. Like I didn't know, like I'm just a young parent. This is my only child. Well, I had Malaysia. She was a baby, and she was a good baby, and she was a good baby. But I, I'm being young. I don't know. So he cried most of his he was in K3 and then he went to K4 with the same teacher and he cried. They said that
Okay.
as the year went on, he started crying less. But she said she wished she would have recorded like the time of him crying to see how less he was crying. Like every transition, when I tell y'all, time for him to go,
So here's my thing. She's talking
time
about
for
when he
him
was
to
in
go.
Head Start, meaning this is like daycare time. If he's crying at that point in time, he's like he's a toddler. So is that not what toddlers do? They don't have fits. They don't have um, tantrums and things like that. Like wine glass, that doesn't mean that there's necessarily something wrong with him because he's crying. He just wants to do whatever the hell he wants to do. Okay, so he's crying because he can't do whatever the hell he wants to do. That's what it sounds like to me.
Time for him to come back in, he's crying. When it's time for him to do playtime, he's crying. When it's time for him to go to the carpet, he's crying. So I'm not knowing. I'm just thinking. She told me too, because I'm still a young parent. I didn't know about putting your kids to bed on time. And I don't know what time he was going to bed because I don't remember him going to bed late. But she did tell me try to make him go to sleep at 8:30. Maybe he's just tired. That didn't help. It still was going on. And so afterwards, y'all got used to it. I'm thinking like he's just gonna grow out of it. She did say it was a maturity thing. Maybe he's just gonna grow out of it. So I was like, okay. She even warned me, was like, I don't know how he's going to function in a regular school when it comes down to kindergarten because they have more kids. They're going to have more of attention that we can give him here than at a regular school. So Head Start don't because I'm still young.
It sounds to me like the daycare was recommending that Wineglass get him on a schedule and that she create a more structured environment for him at home. That way he won't have such an issue adjusting to a structured environment at the daycare facility or the Head Start program or whatever. Okay. That's what it sounds like to me. Now, listen, I understand dealing with children can be challenging, especially sometimes when you have that first child. Because, the son that I referenced earlier in this video, he's also my oldest child. And, it's a big adjustment. To be honest, in my opinion, um, he was the most challenging for me to to get it together with. he was also a crybaby, and I don't know. I don't like. I just don't like diagnosing kids. I think I believe in giving them the opportunity to cope with, giving them the opportunity to learn how to cope with whatever it is that they may be struggling with. It's okay to identify that there's an issue. However, there's other routes to go besides, medicating them, because you'll hear her say something else later on in this video that also, just proves my point that maybe medication is not always the best route every single time. But let's continue.
So I did know like somewhat that he had ADHD because my brother has ADHD and my brother used to cry like that too, like just cry all the time. And so I was just like, I think he got ADHD. And RJ was the type of baby that never was still. He always running around, doing stuff that he ain't supposed to do, just doing stuff. And I didn't think like, ADHD is like affecting everything. Like, I'm just thinking at that time, I'm like, I knew my baby got ADHD because he's hyper, but I didn't know that it affects so much in a life. It did, like having ADHD is a learning curve. Like, I'm still learning, but back then I'm thinking it's just hyper. So she did tell me to take him to a therapist. So to see why is he crying and see what is the reason. So I end up taking him to a therapist before I even put him on medicine. He was like, before he went to kindergarten, I took him to a therapist out here where I'm at. And they told me that my baby was having anxiety attack. And I
Okay.
was just looking at him like, what? Hell no, he young to have anxiety. I even called his daddy. I was like, hey, they said RJ having anxiety attacks. And they was like, no, he too young because, they already having anxiety himself. He like, my baby ain't got what I got. He's too young. We still young. We young parents. So we don't know. So then I'm like, well, do he got ADHD? That was like, yes, it comes with anxiety. Like, I don't know what was going on, but he was having an anxiety attack. Like his brain could not process him doing transitions. Like it was very hard for him to do transitions.
I don't think that ADHD comes with anxiety. I don't. Like, who said that it comes with anxiety? I think those are just two separate diagnoses that people can get. Now, if you have both, then you have both. But I don't think that one comes with the other. But let's continue.
He was having an anxiety attack. And I did not know, like, y'all, like, it still blows my mind today because I'm just thinking, like, my baby just crying too much. He a crybaby. You know how you have boys, they just fucking crybabies? No, they were saying the reason why he kept crying in every transition is because he was having an anxiety attack. And it explains because of the things he have now. So I'm like, it's coming together. So when kindergarten gets here, his teacher called me before even conference, was like, we need to have a talk ASAP. And I'm like, okay. So I go in there and I'm like, okay. She was like, RJ has been off the chain. He does not sit in a when they sit in a group, he does not sit in the group. I even asked, let me rewind. I even asked his art teacher.
And that's my thing right there. So you asked the lady at the daycare whether your son had ADHD or not. She's not a what is it called? She's not a licensed therapist. She's not a psychiatrist. So how would she be able to tell you that that's what he has? Again, that's wine glass. Just immediately, just self-diagnosing, giving her child a diagnosis without it actually being diagnosed because he's having issues and acting out. Uh, I don't know. Just
Like she couldn't give me an answer, so I just played off of it. Like she told me he can grow out of it, so I just played it like, oh, he's gonna eventually grow out of this, right? So when his teacher called me when he was in kindergarten, I already knew what's up because I knew my baby. I knows my kids, and I do anything. Like I will fight them. I would do anything to get my kids the help they need. Period. So when she
okay.
called me, I come in there and she's just like, RJ, he's spitting, he's biting, he's kicking, he's carpet, chain, he's walking out the classroom. All of this, I'm like, what? He doing this? I'm finna, in my mind, I'm like, I'm finna whoop him. How we were taught. We are taught to whoop our kids when they doing stuff like that. And this is part of the ADHD. Me, because I'm young, I'm thinking ADHD is just hyperness. So even the teacher was like, oh, I feel like he does have ADHD and it's affecting his learning. So I'm like, okay. When it comes down to his doctor told me to wait another year because he was having stuff out, and that's part of it too. He was blurting stuff out. He was fighting other kids. He was just doing a lot. You would never think like, oh, that RJ, what?
Okay, he was acting out real bad. And I understand that. Like I said I had the same issue with my son as well. But that's when they most schools have certain sort of programs. Like for instance, one thing that was really helpful with my son in school was for him to have like a one-on-one person who would pop into his classes um a couple times during the day or a couple times during the week after a while because he eventually got better. um they had programs where there were incentives if for better behavior. They had conversations about like what makes him feel antsy, things he could do in the moment to make him you know not act out just because he might be bored or understimulated at the time. At one point in time my son was he had a fidget spinner and a pop it during class because he needed to do something with his hands if he got bored or something, so he wouldn't have like random outbursts and be disruptive in class and things like that. So I don't know if that was an option for her child. I mean, it just seems like, everybody that she came across just gave him the diagnosis of having ADHD and wanting him to be on medicine as soon as possible. But all I'm saying is, y'all, is that there are other routes to take when you have a child who is considered hyper, or a child who acts out during class. For me, my issue wasn't that my son was falling behind, because he never was behind academically. However, he was just understimulated. He was easily distracted, things like that. And so we had to figure out what he could do, to to occupy himself, or find something else to do that's not going to disrupt everybody else's learning. All right, but let's continue. Let's see what else she has to say, because I'm waiting to get to the part where she starts talking about sending that boy to a mental institution for a week. Okay.
Because he's medicated now. If he's not medicated, that little boy becomes out again. Okay. So um so we get the paper. No. I'm at the conference and I'm just like, well, RJ, because I'm still young. I said, RJ should know how to respect you, and he should know how to follow directions. I know he got ADHD, but he should know how to be respectful and follow your directions and this and that. And she told me, she was like, she just stopped, and I'm just looking like, what? She was just like, how can he follow directions where he can't even sit down to grasp what I'm talking about? Y'all almost fell out. I said, she said, how can he honestly be a kid that does good things when he cannot even grasp what I'm saying or pay attention to what I'm saying for him to execute that? And I just stopped and I just looked at her. She was like, this is all part of ADHD. So I don't expect him to do that. I just want the best for him. This is what the teacher said. And I just looked at her like, yeah, that's true. So we get the paperwork going and we get the medicine going for him. So, and I think this is around the time shutdown happened. And I was going through my own depression, my own anxiety, my own whatever, ADHD. I didn't even know I had ADHD back then. My house was a complete mess. Everything was everything. So, yeah.
So basically, you had the same stuff going on then that you have going on now, but let's continue.
When I called his doctor because they had him on Vyvanse and they had him on liquid guanfacine because he could not swallow pills at that time. They had him on Vyvanse, the chewables, and they had him on liquid guanfacine. And I kept telling them like the mornings was rough. So I had to really, like, y'all must don't understand why I had to quit my busing job is because I had to quit my busing job because he was late going to school. And they only could do so much with him in the morning. When RJ doesn't have his medicine, he's a turtle. Like he's
So
sitting
you mean to
there.
tell
It
me
ain't
that
even
you had to
sitting there
quit
because
your
he can.
job because the man that you have with you over there, the father of your children, and your husband, he could not get the child to school on time? So you had to quit your job for that? That just sounds ridiculous. Okay, but let's continue.
What he's
Mm.
supposed to be doing. And then when it's time for him to go to school, he's going super slow. So they used to walk him to the bus and he'll miss the bus because RJ going super slow. So I quit my job, y'all, for that reason. And I told everybody, like, I
No, so
quit
you
my.
mean to tell me that a grown ass man couldn't make sure that a young child was ready and out the door on time to catch the bus? Wine glass, no. You make any sort of an excuse for that man over there. It's no way. If you can manage to get him to school on time, then I'm pretty sure that man over there can do the exact same thing. That's the thing that pisses me off with her. Like, it's no excuse. If he wasn't working, he ain't had nothing else to do. He only had one job, and that was to get the baby on the bus to get to school on time. There's no reason why he shouldn't have been able to do that, regardless of how slow the child is moving. Then maybe you need to get up a little bit earlier, all right? Maybe he needs to physically get him dressed and have everything packed the night before. But he needs to do something. But there's no reason why you would have to quit your job to make sure that your kids get to school on time. That's absurd. Let's continue.
Quit my job because I want my baby to go to school on time. So around the time, that's when shutdown happened, right? So that's when I quit my job within that time period. So, and that's when I had the townhouse. So after that, I called a doctor, was like, because I was giving him guanfacine in the morning. I think I was giving him guanfacine like because you can medicate like every few hours because the medicine does tend to have a drop effect. And I told the doctor, because I wasn't even organized myself, like I'm way more organized now. So I was told that it was like, hey, can you put my baby on some medicine that he only could take one time a day because I cannot keep up with the medicine. They put him on a medicine that I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think it's on the Vyvanse side. I don't know what type of medicine. I think it started with low. I could be, I don't know. But they put him on a medicine. So I'm thinking everything is normal. My baby wasn't going to sleep in his bed. He had his own room and he wasn't going to sleep in his bed. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I don't know what's going on. He'll wake up in the middle of the night like seeing spiders. So I'm like, no. I'm telling I'm telling the doctor like he's waking up saying that he's seeing spiders, and I don't know if it's the truth because
Repulsive?
RJ has a thing of lying, and he still does. But I believe that comes with what is that?
Make this clear.
So
I don't
because
agree
he
with the
didn't want
fact
was
that
like
she put the baby on medicine that quickly to begin with. But you know what? It appears that everybody else in the schools and everybody else convinced her that that was the best thing to do. All right. I don't agree with the fact that I also don't agree with the fact that she is talking about her kids' personal business, diagnosis, mental health challenges, things like that on the internet. I'm not exactly sure how old RJ is, um, but he appears, if he was in the second grade back when COVID started, excuse me, he might be in the like fifth or sixth grade now. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know. So he's up there in age. I'm quite sure he doesn't want everybody to know his business. If he doesn't like to be seen on camera, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want the people that's watching you to be knowing about his mental health crises and challenges that he had as a child. That's a personal thing. Um, the other thing I don't like that she said is, okay, so she asked the doctor to change his medications. All right. Some of these, all these medications come with side effects. That's why I don't that's why I'm really like, I don't, if it really is not a situation where it's extremely necessary, we're just not going to do it because they come with side effects. And sometimes you might wind up having more problems than you had in the beginning. So now your son's seeing spiders, he could be hallucinating due to seeing, just because of the medication change. Sometimes they tell you that the depression medication could have an adverse effect and it make you want to commit suicide. It could cause other health issues and things like that. It's always some sort of fucked up side effect, basically, with these medications, which is why I'm not really for it unless it's necessary, really, really necessary. But I just don't, this is not a conversation that I would really be willing to have in such great detail about my child. Then she's on here saying, oh, he has a tendency to lie and all this, it just sounds, I just don't like it. This is too much conversation about her child when it's really not everybody else's business. All right, it's just not. But let's continue. Let's see what else she has to say. Because
It's
and you know what? Let
very.
me know what y'all think about this
So,
down below in the comments. What's your thoughts on medication for ADHD? Do you have children? Have you ever dealt with a child who has a ADHD diagnosis? If so, how did you handle it? I mean, do you think that she handled it in the best way, or do you think that Wineglass needs to stop trying to, medicate, have all her children medicated? Okay, I feel like she just wants everybody to be on medicine because she gets medicine, and then also the added bonus to that is she can get a check for it. If they are diagnosed with some sort of mental disability or something like that. Let me know your thoughts down below. All right. Let's continue.
so I let him sleep in my bed. He was cool. And then he went back to his bed and he started waking up. I'm seeing spiders. And I'm like having a panic attack because I'm like, oh my God, is my baby psychotic? Like he was just like, it's a spider crawling on me.
Girl, no, he's not psychotic. He's having a reaction to the medicine change. That's what the fuck that was. Because you so quick to switch everything up and put him on medicine to begin with. Now he having, that's what I'm saying. Now he got more issues than what he had at the beginning. Now he's seeing shit. That's just too much. Too much for me.
Spider on the wall. I said, stop, RJ, stop doing that. Wake up, wake up. And so I'm just like, I don't know, like y'all in that moment it's just I never even talked about this. Like we went through it and I don't think we ever brung this back up. Like this is my first time bringing it back up to y'all. But just period. Me and Bae don't even talk about this. But I go in the room to Bae because he was like he be waking up when you sleep, he just be hopping up, just saying he's seeing stuff. So I'm telling Bae, like, do you think my baby is what is that? Psychotic? Like,
Do
and
you
I
think he's
think
going
he's
through
going through
psychotic?
psychotic. Like,
Oh my goodness, her and her words.
psychotic. Like, I don't know. Like, no. And he was like, "That I really think we should just get him looked at." So I called his doctor. Remember, this is the shutdown. Everything is closed. You can't even go to the doctor office. You can't go through nothing. So I'm calling the doctor, letting them know what's going on, right? And they told me I had to take him, which is here, is called Rogers, to a mental institution. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to take him. They was like, you have to take him because we can't do nothing here. We cannot see him. So I take him to Rogers, right? We sitting down. I'm explaining to the Roger lady, like, hey, he's seeing things, this and that. So, and I tell him, like, he has ADHD and, he has all these things that the teacher was saying that he was doing. I'm seeing at home, I'm telling them that. And so he goes in Rogers, mind you, they don't medicate them. When they first go into a mental institution, they do not medicate them. So I did give them the medicine that I was giving them, but they don't medicate him when he goes in there. So I'm crying. Well, no, I was strong, but he was crying. He was like, "Mommy, I don't want to go. I don't want to, like, he don't know these people. I don't know these people." And then I'm just like, I'm trying to be strong and do this. And he just crying on, like, and I'm like, I feel like I failed my baby. I was like, I'm not never putting my baby on no medicine, like, ever again because of this
Here's my
situation
thing
that
about
I
this. It
went
ain't
through.
no way in hell.
Like, y'all must don't know how hard it was for
The,
me
the
to
first thing I
drop
probably
my
would have did was stop the
baby.
medication.
I
Because
currently are mental.
obviously that's what it is. You just changed the medication. Now all of a sudden, since the medication has been changed, he is seeing spiders and he can't sleep and he's having all these issues. All right. So the medication would have had to stop. If you can call the doctor over the phone, I'm quite sure they would have been able to switch him back to the other medication if he just got to be on medication. The medication prior that didn't have all of these side effects. All right. But it's no absolute way that I would have been willing to send my child to a mental institution by himself at the age of 7, because that's traumatizing for a child. I just wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been able to do that. To be honest, I just wouldn't have been able to do it. I don't get it. If you can call the doctor and tell them what's going on over the phone, I'm quite sure they can refill or put in a different prescription or something like that for you, or just switch them back, and you just have to get on board with the regular routine that you had before that you said was hard to keep up with. Like if it was during the pandemic and you wasn't working, it shouldn't have been that hard to keep up with the medication. But I just wouldn't have been able to do that. I don't agree with that. I would not have sent my child to a mental institution for a week. That is completely out of control.
Institution, like who does that? And so my dad was like, "Why would you do that? You know, everybody. Why would you? Everybody, all my black parents, all my black people. Why would you drop him off over there? You know this and that. So, because I'm doing
Y'all let me know down in the comments. Y'all let me know down in the comments if you would have been willing to leave your child at a mental institution for a week at the age of 7. Let me know, because I want to know. Am I tripping for saying that I would not have done that? Because it could be it's very traumatizing for the child. Like she just said, he wouldn't stop crying. So I could just imagine he probably was giving them people the hardest time because he doesn't understand why he's even there to begin with. Let me know what y'all would have did in that situation. Let's continue.
I'm calling back to back. I need to talk to my baby. I need to talk to my baby because I don't know. Maybe they shooting them up. I don't know what's going on. And then they called me, was like, "What do you give RJ to sleep because he's not sleeping?" And I'm like, she was like, "It's 4:00 in the morning. What do you give him to go to sleep?" And I say, usually at home if I'm medicating him, he takes guanfacine that helps him sleep. Because RJ had really bad anxiety. He'll stay up all night. He'll sleep for 4 hours and be up again all night until probably the next day again. But that's his anxiety. So Rogers, the mental institution, seen everything that I was saying. He has paperwork of what's wrong with him. They say he has dysregulation functioning disorder. He has ADHD.
Okay, so listen, and that's the problem right there.
Psychotic disorder.
And that's the problem right there. Instead of giving your child the opportunity,
it's hard to say because I have to tell every time he goes
to
a new school,
find other healthy ways to deal with the fact that his environment is going to help him deal with the fact that he's going to be sometimes feeling antsy or feel the need to do certain things that's just not appropriate in the moment. Like you have to find skills and teach them skills to cope with their ADHD diagnosis. All right. Especially in school. And I'm quite sure there had to be some sort of resource because I don't know. They had it available at my son's school where they have a person who checks in on the child during the day. They will even sit with them in the class during class and have one-on-one sessions with them privately. Excuse me. And teach them ways to cope with things. And they even called me and reached out to me and asked me what some things that my child likes to do at home. One of the things he liked to play with is a fidget spinner. Okay, so that's what he started bringing to class because it did not disrupt the other children. So basically, what happened was the little boy was on a medication that he was doing okay on, and then they abruptly switched the medication to something else because Wineglass couldn't keep up with the schedule of the medication. All right, and as a result of that, her son started experiencing some what's it called? What is it called? Hallucinations and things like that, and it went left. This is as a result of her personally wanting to change the medication. And that's the problem right there with medication because you just don't know how it can affect your child. And in some instances, it could be worse than that, you know? But let's continue.
ever again. So whatever, like Ritalin or whatever on the Vyvanse side, he cannot go on the Vyvanse side ever again because of this situation. So with and so after I got the papers and realized what was going on, I had to research every diagnosis he had. He like had 6 of them, and I had to research, and it's stemming off of ADHD and anxiety and depression. He does have an unspecific depression disorder, and he does have depression. Period. So, so when I got him home, they did put him on clonidine, but I hated it. It made him even worse. So I stopped giving him medicine. Period. His doctor within the shutdown, she ended up doing a referral to children's, the psychiatry people, because he cannot see a regular doctor ever for his mental illness ever again. He has to see a psychiatrist, a special psychiatrist at that, that's through children's behavioral health. So that's where he goes. So they end up calling me because Rogers did provide a psychiatrist while we was on the waiting list for children's because they said they did a second opinion or whatever referral, but they really got him in fast because once everything opened up, he was already on the books. So once we got his first appointment, I was telling everything that went on with my baby and stuff like that, and they was like, he was an older doctor. He been there for years. He told me, he said, "Can I tell y'all something?" Because I was really like on the fence. Like, I'm not having no medication for my baby. Like, I don't want no medication. I don't want this. And he told me, this doctor, he said,
Girl, you could have just left this shit at relationship. Mother and son
he said,
relationship got
"Can
better,
you
okay?
please try it?
The hell are you talking about? Child ship. I cannot.
Let's try one more time." And he said, "Can you please give me that?" He said because of his mental, we want to make sure that we get his mental stable because he's not stable now. Can we try one more time? Don't give up on him. Try one more time. And I was like, okay, I tried one more time. And they put him on minofinidate. I might be saying it wrong, but my baby is on Drainage,
I
but
wouldn't
at the
like
time,
anything that's going to change my child's personality or anything like that. I don't
when
like
I say,
that. So you
well,
felt
my
like you had a
baby,
whole
me and
completely
his
different child. You putting through him through all
mother,
this bullshit with hallucinations and having to stay in mental hospitals and all
I
this trauma
was
and things
always
like that. I
screaming
just
at
don't like the
him.
whole
You know what I mean?
situation
Them more.
in its entirety. And if I were Wine Glass, I would
So
not have been
he
willing
got
to
on the
keep trying out
medicine.
all
It
these
was,
different
and
experiments
I
with this
was
fucking
telling
medication on
this
my child like he is some
normal
sort of
person
fucking
when he
lab rat
takes
or
his
something.
medicine when
I don't
he
have time
is.
for that. All right. Um, so what? He was hyper. That's just what the fuck kids do, girl. You could have took them up. You could have put them in, enrolled them in some sort of sports, basketball, some sort of after school program, things like that. You could have tried to get him. Like I said, I would prefer trying the holistic route first and trying to help them cope with whatever it is that they're suffering from in a more healthy way versus medicating them and putting them on medicine. I'm just not willing to do that. But she was, and that's exactly why she had all that bullshit going on. I'm not with it. Y'all let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. You think I'm tripping? Is medication cool all the time? You know, um, with ADHD, or would you at least? I would have gave him more time. I really would have gave him more time. Like, listen, my son still struggles with it every now and again, but he's in the fourth grade now, and I'm not going to, it's just not giving Des what he needs. You want to know why? Because he is able to learn, he's able to retain the information that he's learning in school. He's always on honor roll and things like that. He just, gets on my damn nerves from time to time because he's hyper. But in school, I don't get as many phone calls as I used to. Definitely. He doesn't get suspended or anything like that. So I feel like I made the best decision for me and my son. The medication just is not it. And, we went all these years without it. And I pray that, he continues to be able to cope with it without being medicated and things like that. I wouldn't have been able to do it if I was Wine Glass. Let me know your thoughts down below. All right, I'm about to go ahead and get into these comments because I just don't even feel like watching the rest. All right. You know what? I really think the issue is that Wine Glass struggles she claims that she has all the same diagnoses as her children, but she's not really able to provide them with any sort of education or direction on how to manage. That's the issue right there. She claims she has ADHD and on medication. She's not, it doesn't appear like it's doing, she can't get her words together. She's constantly talking over herself. She doesn't make sense. I'm staying on topic. Um, so yeah, that's it. I just feel like she wouldn't have been able to help him anyway because she can't help herself. Um, Somebody said, I hope you know that some of the medications you're giving him can induce hallucinations and psychosis. My point exactly. She done messed that baby up. Um, Somebody says, stop telling your children's personal business online. If you had all these challenges with your firstborn, why go and have three more, especially since those kids also have issues? I just feel like all of them just can't have the same issues. I feel like it's her. Somebody else said ADHD does not come with anxiety. Please stop spreading misinformation. You are off your rocker. I agree. Um, Somebody says, so will you be getting another check for him? Somebody also said, why would you continue to keep having kids if you're having struggles with the first one instead of giving him the attention he truly needs and you felt like you lost him? He couldn't put on his shoes. He couldn't do this and that. And you had to yell at him a lot, but you continue to keep having kids and not be able to give him your full attention that he needs. Um, they said, Gonzo, put that boy in a sport. Why are you putting him in a mental health facility? Are you cool? I don't know what Gonzo means, but it sounds crazy. Um, Somebody said you shameful telling your kids business. They will hate you later on. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be saying all of this, but yes, I would not. I can give my opinion on it and talk about what I've been through. The people don't know my side, so. And you know what? I also don't feel like anybody that watches this video is going to like be like, "Oh, her son's crazy" or "he's slow" or anything like that. He's a child. How many people have ADHD and they are not on medicine? I know it's more. It's a whole lot of people. You know, everybody. People just learn how to function. And his mother put him on, chose to put him on medicine, so he got to deal with that, and that's unfortunate for him. But you know, whatever. I guess whatever works. I don't fucking know. Somebody said, "Why was the first thing you thought was ADHD because he was crying and hyper?" Exactly. That's my thoughts. Like that's what all children do when they are having to adjust to a new environment. It's uncomfortable for them, and the way that they usually get what they want is through crying. So of course they're going to revert to that because they don't like the change. That's just what it is. And being hyper, what kid is not running around, especially once they hit two, running around, tearing up shit nonstop, just doing what kids do. That's just what they do. Somebody said you're explaining too much of others' personal business, then getting mad when people talk about your family. I'm sure if you asked him, he would not want his business put out there, just like he tells you he doesn't want to be on the camera. That's a good point. Um, Somebody said, what good is medication without structure? I would have anxiety living with you too. And I agree. Wine Glass is constantly trying to gain some sort of structure in her life. She's always talking about like schedules and things like that. And she doesn't really ever seem to be able to get it together. She recently was saying how her son cannot get himself up and out for school on time. I mean, she's the mother who doesn't have a job. It's pretty much her job to make sure that he's getting up on time and catching his bus and things like that. She has no structure, so she can't give the kids structure. That's my whole point. They said RJ stops you in your bullshit. They said you lie so much it's sad. Now, what is the rest of these comments? Because they always get her together. You know, one thing I like about Juan Glass, she do not delete them, so we can see everything that the people had to say. All right, but you know what? I'm gonna just leave it there. I don't even feel the need. Somebody said you always drunk. Okay. Yeah, you guys, I don't really feel the need to the rest of the comments. It was a lot that was said, and I don't know. My opinion is I would not have been so willing to put the baby on medicine. I'm glad that I didn't. I'm glad that I didn't consider it for my own child. But you guys, you know, I definitely want to hear what you guys think down below. Please let me know. All right. Before you get out of here, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.